I mean, you say workaholic, and that's like, when we talk about addiction, I think that work and social media, so we could probably talk about both, and maybe food would be in a similar, maybe not even, but oftentimes work and use of technology is like the most accepted addictions in our society, and they're quite potentially harmful and dangerous. Literally, I mean, you can work yourself to death. The phrase, right? So tell me though, like sometimes I think it's very healthy. It can be very energizing, can be very, powerful. You can do incredible work. What was it like for you early on, at least, to be so engaged in your work through this time of challenge?
I think it was definitely an escape from what I was facing at home. I mean, the alternative was to go be there, at the house where mom was going through her suffering, and just to get a break and enter a place where no one is asking you questions and you're just doing your job and you can escape from it. And you can also control the things at work, and when you're going through a grief like that, which I'm sure so many of our listeners have gone through, tragic loss is not, in a unique state. But for me, that was the way that I could cope. It's definitely a coping mechanism to just go back to normal as quickly as possible, the new normal. Because you're never the same again after you go through something like that. You are never the same again. You never will be. You can never have what was back again. You evolve and you learn how to live with it. My analogy, whenever I meet someone who's gone through a loss and I'm right there, I explain it a lot like, that vampire movie with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, Interview with a Vampire.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know that movie?
I do. Yes.
Oh my God, it's so
been
good.
a long time. Yeah.
It's so good. But Tom Cruise says, he bites him and he's like, welcome, welcome to the vampire world. And at first, Brad Pitt's like, oh my God, I'm so mad. Why'd you do this to me? But Tom Cruise has like centuries of experience of being a vampire. So he's much, calmer about it. And I think grief is the same way. I've now have 22 years of experience in grief, and it never gets any easier. You miss them like hell every single day, but you learn how to live with it. It becomes, the way I describe it is, it's as if I have a third arm that you can't see. No one else can see it, but I can feel it, and it's here with me every single day. And I just learn how to walk around with it. I learn how to accommodate it. But for me, that was the very beginning of learning how to get through this. And the shock of his loss is still with us because my mother has not moved through her grief properly, so it's still here. We're still in this as a family, this aftermath of the loss of this incredible man. So yeah, it's really interesting to try to find your balance as a young adult without parents to guide you.
I sympathize with you. And, again, this is maybe why this podcast hopefully means something to other people, because I think this is an experience that you're not alone in, that people experience loss, they experience grief, they experience tragic loss and deep, profound grief. And to hear you say that, 22 years later, it's still here with you, the way you described it as a third arm, and the way that your mother has not been able to move through it, I think is really real and honest and important for people to know that sometimes these things don't ever go away. Yet you've also really been able to be very productive and become a mother yourself and raise a family and do great things in your career. So, it's not like it's something that has kept you from life either, right? And I think that's, also really important for people to know and see that it can be both.